Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Omer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at zambuliquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guest is the owner of Ashlee Sang Consulting LLC. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome to the show, Ashlee Sang. How are you doing, Ashlee?
Hi, doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Yep, we're excited to learn more about your business, Ashlee. So we were talking before, you were referred to us by Wes Ernst over at Halo Solar. He had some good things to say about you, so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to learn more about what you do. But before we do, Ashlee, I'm going to kick it to Garrett, and he's going to take you through our speed round questions to get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
Well, we talked a little bit before the show, so it doesn't sound like you were prepared for this. So we appreciate somebody that hasn't studied too deep into passing the speed round question. So we'll just dive right into it. First question is the first concert that you ever attended?
John Mayer here in Bloomington. It was a good one.
Good deal. Your favorite movie?
Probably Sound of Music. I've probably seen that movie like hundreds of times. My parents used to put me to sleep with it when I was like a tiny kid, and then I just have loved it ever since.
All right, good. Your favorite ice cream flavor?
Literally all of them. But maybe top three: coffee, mint chocolate chip, and maybe like a peanut butter cup fudge deal.
Yeah. All right.
Like peanut butter one.
Yeah, I love peanut butter. iPhone or Android?
Definitely iPhone.
Favorite social media platform?
I think Instagram. I've met some really amazing business owners on Instagram. And there's a lot of really fun tips and stuff. So I think Instagram.
All right. And last but not least, why Central Illinois?
Yeah. I'm mostly from here. And my husband and I sort of accidentally settled here, and we like that it's so friendly. We like that there are 4 seasons, although I wish the cold was much, much shorter of a season. And we like that it's so affordable. And I was actually, when I moved back here, very pleasantly surprised to see a really thriving nonprofit and small business sector that I didn't know existed when I was growing up. So lots of good things about Central Illinois.
Great. Man, for not studying those questions, you did really well, Ashlee.
Asked very well.
Yes. So at this point, Ashlee, what we'd like to do is just turn the mic over to you. If you could share kind of your story, your background, where you came from, how you got to where you are now, anything in between that you'd like to share, you take it over.
Awesome. Thank you. So I alluded to, I'm mostly from Central Illinois here in Bloomington. My parents were a State Farm family. So we were in and out, but I spent more years here than not. And then I studied at WashU in St. Louis, so not too far from home. And I sort of stumbled upon anthropology and minors in French and linguistics. And that led me to Senegal in West Africa as a study abroad student. And I accidentally met my husband. I did not marry him until afterward, but I did meet him when I was a student. And so directly after graduation, I moved there and started working in a human rights education nonprofit, a big international NGO, actually. And that's where I cut my teeth on executive management and donor relations and grants and social media management and internal communications, brand management. That is really where I learned a lot of the communication skills that I still apply today to my clients.
Awesome.
And as we were going through the green card process, which is very long and very confusing and a big question mark. I started freelancing on the side because I didn't know when we were going to be able to move. I didn't know where we were moving. And I really liked the challenge of finding clients and working in new ways on different projects and not having to work on a single cause either. So even once we moved to the US here in Bloomington, I kept freelancing because I just really enjoyed it. And I was working with the local McLean County Habitat and the Restore.
Yeah.
And after a bit, I just decided, you know what, I want to take this quote freelance thing full time. And that has since morphed and evolved and become the business that I run today. It's been over 4 years since I've been doing the business full time. And I was doing lots of done for you communications and marketing work. So website copy, building websites, even though I'm not a web developer, managing events, running social media, doing all the things that businesses need to get more visible. And I realized that people were hiring me to check off tasks, but there was no strategy behind it. So the more strategy projects I got on, the more I realized, first of all, this is how my brain works. Second of all, this makes all of the tasks so much more effective. This makes all of their money so much better spent. So now I do values aligned brand messaging strategy. So really working with the business owner, the founder, the executive board, whoever it is, the leaders, really determining, what do you want to stand for? How do you want to be known? What ways can you stand out based on those things, based on your values and how you show up in the world and the people you want to connect with and the messages that connect you to them. So that's what I do now. And I love it.
Cool.
That's great.
So building the brand, because that's what you're trying to do, help a business owner build their brand. You're not building the site. You're just helping them kind of guide them with their social media presence or their website. What all kind of do you sink your hands into, and just dig a little deeper into that side of it?
Yeah. So it's all the things before the content creation, before the logo, before the website. What do you tell your designer you want to represent, right? Like, how are they supposed to create a logo or choose colors or fonts if you don't even know what you want to emulate, right? Or how can you build a website if you don't even know who's going to be visiting your website, what they want to hear from you, what they're looking for, how they like to read through the website, or what is their most pressing problem, or what they're seeking when they search you out, right? Or I don't do social media management anymore, but I can guide people through, what sort of things do you even talk about on social media, right?
Yeah.
What are those pillar ideas? How often do you need to be posting? What platforms should you even be on? So just because you, I don't know, hate TikTok, if you cater to all young people, maybe you need to contract someone out to run a TikTok account for you, right? Maybe, maybe not. But those are the types of conversations that I have with clients. So really at the foundation, if we do a full brand messaging strategy, we cover 6 elements, which are their overarching brand statement. Who are you as a brand? Why should people care? And who are those people? We also cover your mission statement to really determine, what is your why? Why do you keep showing up? Even entrepreneurship is hard. Running a business is hard. So having a really clear mission for yourself and for any team or partners is so important to really keep you on track. And then we also cover core values. These are 3 to 5 guiding principles that really determine how you show up in the world. They allow you to make not only the marketing decisions, but also the operational decisions, like what types of partnerships or sponsorships should you take on? What type of pricing? Where should you show up? Should you go to this conference or not? Those values are really, really something that you can latch onto as a leader and bring everyone else on the same page around. And then the next element is your voice. How do you sound across context, right? Are you super intellectual? Are you really down to earth? Everywhere in between. And then your audience, which is obviously, who is it that you're trying to serve? Your business does not exist without the people on the other end who pay you the money, who seek out your solutions, who evangelize your amazing work. So without those people, your business does not exist. And then the last element that we cover in a full brand messaging strategy are your core messages. So these are like little marketing snippets that you can copy and paste and put in onboarding documents and put in job descriptions and put in your Instagram bio and everywhere in between to really capture the essence of who are you as a brand? What are you doing in this world?
Sure. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm having a flashback a little bit, Garrett, to is actually one of our like first 10 episodes to Katie Custer at Firefly Grill in Effingham.
Yeah. Yep.
And we kind of talked about the thing that they do with their marketing team is building their ideal client avatar. So it sounds a lot like what you're talking about, Ashlee, is, before you can market to someone, you've got to know who you're marketing to.
Yep.
And, she talks about they had identified 2 avatars that their business speaks to. And one is, it was like working moms or something like that, and retired guys who like to golf. So it was, I think a lot of businesses fail to hit some of those things you just talked about, Ashlee. So I'm involved in Shelby County. We have a class called the CEO class. So it's a class for juniors and seniors in high school who want to get into business. And so through that course, so CEO stands for creating entrepreneurial opportunities. And they have to create a class business together in the first semester. In the second semester, they branch out and do their own individual businesses. And so they're in that phase right now of trying to get their own individual businesses running and operating. And they do exactly what you said. They jump ahead. They start creating their logo and they start creating their Facebook pages and this and that. And I'm a mentor for one of the students, and I try really hard. I was like, you don't even know who you're talking to yet. Like, it's like, you got to figure out how you're going to sell your product. What product are you even selling? I was like, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, that's great. But who is it even for? Like, are you selling a baked good? Are you selling cookies? Or are you selling, social media management? Like, who are you talking to? Because the way that you present yourself online and in person is, you have to create a model for who you're actually talking to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of businesses, not just high school students, but they fail to hit all those steps that you talked about, Ashlee, that you take your clients through. They kind of jump ahead. They get the business idea and then start creating the logo. It's like, we got to pump the brakes and figure out how you're going to make money first off, and who is your ideal client. So that's kind of a unique story. And I like the steps that you've created for your clients.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like sometimes a business opens, and I did a little bit of marketing prior to insurance, and I'll just use a plumber that I had met with. And even though that there's 5 million plumbers out there, each plumbing business has their own niche of what they want to do. And I can remember sitting with him, like, you are trying to appeal to everybody and you're not reaching the people that you want. What jobs do you want? What makes you the most money? How is your staff set up to take care of these? And he's like, well, this is what I need. These are my 2 main jobs. I'm like, well, then let's eliminate the rest of it. If those other jobs don't pay you, why are we advertising for those? If they fall into your lap, that's great. But let's go after what's making you money that your staff is set up to. And then let's roll with that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, good. Let's move on. You just got to identify what you do the best and how those clients that you want to reach.
Yeah, I love that specificity, both with the clients and the offers, and ideally where they overlap, right? Because so often we're afraid of niching down because we're like, oh, we're gonna reject all of this potential business. But it's about attracting that bullseye. If you've ever gone axe throwing or done archery or whatever you do that requires a bullseye, more often than not, you're not hitting the target, right? You're hitting around, or you're not hitting the bullseye, but you're hitting somewhere on the target, but you're shooting for the bullseye. So it's the exact same with marketing, because you only get one shot at a headline on your website. You only get one shot at your executive bio or an event description or whatever it is that you're creating, right? Of course, you can change it. It can evolve over time, but
Sure.
like in that moment, you get one shot. You're talking to one person. So the clearer you can be to that one person and what they want from you specifically and the experience that they're going to receive. So like the plumber example, they could really lean into not only the type of offer, but also maybe it's their pricing. Maybe it is the friendliest plumber in town. Maybe it's the fastest plumber in town. Maybe it is the most generous, like they have the best give back, whatever it is, what sets you apart and what is it that your customers are going to care about. And it's all about attracting those right people, rejecting the wrong people, because I mean, we've all had wrong fit clients, right? And they attract more wrong fit clients, and they're not going to be as pleased with you as the right fit clients, and you're not going to be as pleased with them. So better to put your time and energy and money into attracting the right people who are really, really specific. And then of course, you'll hit some other people or ways of working with people beyond that. But if the foot in the door is a consulting call, or if the foot in the door is an audit of your furnace or whatever it is, then of course, once you build that trust, you could always offer more. You could always stay top of mind and build those relationships over time.
I love that. So I've had the opportunity to do some speaking. Like Garrett said, he and I are in the insurance industry, and I get to do some speaking occasionally. And one of the topics I talk about is your value proposition. And it's funny, you'll listen to the radio, you'll hear commercials, you see ads in the newspaper, you see Facebook videos, you see, videos on social media. Insurance agents have the exact same message, no matter what agency you're talking to. Hey, come see us to get the best coverage at the best price. That is literally every insurance agency's message. That is their value proposition. And so, when I say what I say in those, when I'm talking is like, so if you give them the best coverage at the best price and the person down the street gives them the best coverage at the best price, how are they taking that message? How do they know which one is really the best coverage at the best price? Or are you even solving their problems? What problem can you solve that's unique to your agency that you do better than the person down the street? And just focus on that problem. Because if you start to, like you said, if you start to go do home insurance, auto insurance, Medicare supplements, group health, commercial insurance, you can be, you can do all that, but you're never going to be the person that can answer that question specifically. So it's funny that we're talking about this, because our industry is just known for terrible marketing. And I hate to say that. And everybody leans on the same thing. It's price. So you're never always going to be the best price. So what other problem can you solve?
Yeah. And for so many of us, first of all, for insurance and finance sector, you guys are really in a tough spot because there are so many regulations. So at least you have that to lean on a little bit. But for all of us service providers or salespeople that are face-to-face, it is your personality ultimately that people are choosing, besides the price shoppers, which you can and cannot control for. Like you can do what you can on that front. But also, do you want to build a business solely with price shoppers? Maybe, maybe not. That's for you to decide. But for all of us service providers, it comes down to our personality. It comes down to our unique approach to sitting down and having a conversation or solving that problem. So even with insurance, maybe it is that you are the most thorough insurance agent in town. I don't know if you could guess this from these few minutes we've spent together, but I ask a lot of questions, especially when I'm about to invest a lot of money in something or it's very confusing to me. I ask questions until the cows come home. And I need a service provider, an agent, whoever it is, to be very thorough, very clear, and very patient with me so that I get all my questions answered. Otherwise, I will take my business elsewhere. And like when I chose my insurance agent, it was because I had seen how active he was around town with community organizations. And I was like, well, if I don't know anything else, I can't, like, I don't know what separates one agent from another, but I've seen him around town. I support the organizations he supports. I guess I'll go with him.
Sure.
So those little pieces add up for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listeners, why do you think Garrett and I started the Central Illinois Business Leaders podcast? Our target market is business owners. That's who we like to work with. Not that we don't do home and auto and this and that, but what we do really, really well with is commercial insurance and employee benefits for business owners. So to provide value outside of just trying to tell stories about insurance all the time, this is a platform that we can allow business owners to share their, I hate to say inside tips and tricks, but how they got started, because every other business owner out there has questions about other business. How did this person do it? How'd they do it? How'd they get over this hurdle? How did they do this and that? So if we can be the ones that provide that value, it has nothing to do with insurance, price, coverage. And we don't even try to talk about insurance. This is probably the most we've ever talked about insurance, honestly, on the podcast.
It probably is.
Sorry,
They paid me to
Ashlee.
do this. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
But we try to focus on providing value for the clients that we, want to reach in Central Illinois. So yes, it's a way to us ultimately get our name out there for business purposes, but we're providing value outside of come get a free insurance quote from Derek and Garrett, so do something different, do something unique, put yourself out there and people are going to notice it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why when it comes to understanding your audience and knowing your core values, that allows you to step outside the box, right? It's not every insurance agent that has a business podcast. It's not every, bakery who pairs up with a yoga studio. But if you really understand what your audience cares about, or if you really want to be founder forward and let your personal likes and values shine through, then you're able to connect these dots in really unique ways. There's a sustainable toilet paper company called Who Gives a Crap, and they have this blog all about things that their audience cares about. So they talked about International Women's Day. They talked about what is a B Corp. They talked about date nights. They talked about all kinds of things. They did have some toilet paper blogs, but how could a toilet paper company talk about date nights? Well, it's because they understand what their audience cares about, and they provide so much value that people will keep coming back to their blog to read about things, even though they're not in the mood to shop for toilet paper in that given moment, right? That's how you stay top of mind. So it's a really useful way to connect with your audience on a really human level, but also it's a really useful exercise for you, the business owner, to not feel so boxed in, because so often we feel like our hands are tied. And if you have your audience and your core values as a jumping off point, then the possibilities are infinite. It's just a question of finding the connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So Ashlee, that was a great topic, by the way. I like everything we just talked about there. So I'm looking at your website, which is ashleesang.com. And I see that you do some speaking potentially.
I do.
So tell us about some of the topics you speak about, and I guess where you speak at.
Yeah. So my favorite topics to talk about are many of the things we've already covered. So definitely core values. That is so essential, both as a career person, even if someone is listening to this and that they only have a side hustle or they're only dreaming of being an entrepreneur, both in entrepreneurship and in business, in your career, and for sure in any leadership position, knowing your core values and being able to communicate them. So establishing them, uniquely defining them, and then actively applying them is so essential to have any sort of purpose in life. So I talk about that a lot. I talk about the elements of brand messaging often. I have a workshop all around the about page, because I find that I work with really experienced and ambitious people who have a really hard time talking about themselves, or have a really hard time boiling down all of their passions and all of their experiences into something cohesive and concise that someone actually would care about on the receiving end. That's not, like a 10-page novel. So that's a core topic I talk about often. And I do a lot of online summits. I work with a lot of online business owners, but locally I've spoken with Leadership McLean County and a few other women's organizations in town. And so it really runs the gamut, but it's almost always focused on online business owners or high achieving career people who want to reflect. They want that time and space and a little bit of guidance to reflect and then take action.
Perfect. That's great. So on your speaking page on your website, something that kind of made me grin was you have a media kit. So Garrett and I had to learn what a media kit was for the podcast. Because we had a sponsorship opportunity pop up and they said, well, we'd like to see your media kit. I'm like, have no idea what
Google media kit.
We're like, what is that?
Yeah. So, we went to Canva and used a template there and put some information in, and so we've got a media kit. So yours is quite a bit nicer than ours, I will say. So kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
I also see on your website you have some free marketing downloads and maybe some newsletters that people can sign up for. Tell us a little bit about those resources.
Yeah. So I have a free elevator pitch guide, a guided template that essentially allows you to talk to who you want about what you do and why it matters, which is something we struggle with, even though it's just us, right? Why is this so hard? But it's because we're so close to it. We live and breathe it every day. So we don't know how to necessarily find those most interesting little nuggets that actually resonate with someone. So I have that available on my website, but also I have a special slug URL for you guys. So just ashleesang.com/central-il. And then I also have we mentioned an ideal customer avatar or an audience persona. I have a template for that as well. It's guided, so it really gives a lot of context. It has some reflection questions, and then it has a template specifically to create your ideal customer or a few ideal customers. That's at ashleesang.com/persona. And then every Tuesday, I write a pretty long newsletter. It's pretty robust. I get really good feedback. I have had one or two people unsubscribe saying, this is too long. So if long is not for you, then this isn't for you. But one Tuesday, I write some sort of reflection. It's sort of my love letter to the business community of what I'm going through, what I'm learning, analogies that I think of as I connect the real world and this life that we're living with business. And then the other Tuesdays, I do resources. So I curate all sorts of good news and helpful hints and just business bits from around the internet. And I have a founder friends section in my newsletter, which is my favorite to write. And so as I meet cool people doing cool things, I give them a little shout out just to spread the word. You never know what someone is going to need in any given moment. So I love to provide that space. And then I guess the last platform I have is also a podcast. It's called the Purpose and Progress Podcast. And it's all sorts of advice and anecdotes from women entrepreneurs who have often felt very alone or have felt like, why haven't I figured this part out? Or just are seeking, those stories and those tips and that camaraderie. So it's a little bit new, but it's very exciting to be part of. And I love having a platform to shine on other women's businesses and their accomplishments.
Great.
That's awesome.
So for clients out there that are listening, reviewing, that are like, wow, I need to talk to this gal, get my stuff going in the right direction for my brand and my business. What's the best way that they can reach out to you, schedule kind of a consultation, or, just be in touch?
Yeah. So would love to chat. You can email me, you can do all the things, but the most direct way is you can get directly on my calendar to talk about how we can collaborate. Ashlee Sang, Ashlee with 2 E's, sang like sang a song, .com/collab, like collaboration. We'll hop on, we'll chat, we'll talk about your vision, we'll talk about where you're coming from, where you're going, and if I'm not the right fit, I have a really amazing network of service providers and coaches and consultants that I can refer out to as well.
Sure.
So happy to chat.
Great.
Awesome. I want to go back to the slug you mentioned before. So, so that is unique to this podcast in particular.
Yeah. Just so I know, all right, you guys
Cool.
sent them my way, sort of thing.
There
so
we go.
it's ashleesang.com/central-il.
Awesome.
Cool.
I checked it out and I already entered my information there, and I thought you'd said it was unique to us, so I just want to make sure. So cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody's done that for us before. So
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of tips and tricks. Yeah.
There we go. I like it. Well, great. So believe it or not, Ashlee, we are getting close to the 30-minute mark. We already know where to contact you at. Are there any tips or ideas or last bits you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah. Get outside perspective. I mentioned we are just so close to it. Whether it is our personal values, whether it's our business vision, anything in between, get some outside perspective from a life partner, from a business coach, from a consultant like me, from a mastermind, like whatever it is that you are able to have space to speak your mind or write your thoughts and have it reflected back to you from someone who just isn't so darn close to it. Take that time and space for you, because it will give you so much clarity. And then you'll be able to take that values aligned action that is so, so important to getting stuff done.
Sure.
Excellent. That's great. Well, for all you listeners out there, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, please leave a review. You can also find us on social media, mainly on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you can connect with Garrett and I there personally as well. Until next time, Ashlee, you've officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.